So welcome everybody to the second hour of Mindshifters Radio. Today is Wednesday, April the 14th, 2021. And our call-in number is 563-999-3581 and press 1, and that puts you in the queue to talk to us. We'd love to hear your comments and questions because that makes this your show. Give Michael a moment to get dialed in, and those of you who are part of the intensive group, we look forward to seeing you tonight. I actually sent an email early this morning, well, it's probably about 10 o'clock, with the new version 4, and so that'll be in your inbox for you to have for tonight's class. We're actually going to do a practicum where you go through and fill out the worksheet on your own with your own real issues, and so we need everybody to be so we can start on time, and we look forward to that. And so Michael should be dialing in here any minute, and you go to the website, which is whyagain.org, and click on the bullseye or the start here. And both of those will take you to where you can find all of the tools. Put them to work in your life. Welcome, Michael.
Well, thank you, dear heart, and welcome, everybody. Delighted that you're with us once again today as we move forward this conversation that not even sure what to say. It's just so profound, the more deeply I look into the mind of this man, Yeshua, 2,000 years ago, and the more I build the brain cells for understanding just what he spoke of, about how brilliantly he understood. And you can only read it, you can only find it in his native Aramaic, because the Greeks, it seems pretty much didn't have a clue. You look at the Greek pantheon of gods, and you find, these gods that beat their children, rape their own mothers, and basically want to control everything and everybody. And then you hear this man, Yeshua, who speaks about his Father as not his, but our Father, who, in his words, he says, it's a good pleasure to give us the community of love. The Greeks translate those words as the kingdom of heaven. And you realize that, if he sat in most circles where they purportedly talk about his teaching today in this Western world, he'd say, that's all Greek to me. You look at, down through the ages, every conquering nation, every conquering religion, every conquering group of people that want to destroy the conquered, the first thing they do is go after their language. They force the children to stop speaking the language of the conquered. You start putting all that together and you say, where did these teachings go? Now, you talk to Greek scholarship, and they will swear upside down, right ways, left ways, every way you can imagine. It was the Greeks that wrote it all down. And it's just, really, top scholars, that's what they'll tell you. But when you really start looking at it, it's ludicrous. And there is so much that is missing from the teaching of this man who said, I come to bring you life, not dogma, not doctrine, not control, not fear. In fact, you listen to the fear-based Greek teachings based in his words, and then you go back and you see him, I don't know how many times, 15 or so times saying, fear not. And yet, there are Greek scholars who will tell you that the beginning of wisdom is the fear. And It's so ridiculous. And then you look at, the current definition we're using for life in this work. That is that life is love flowing through a cell. You go back to the ancient scriptures and they tell you that the Creator, they use the word God, is love. Life, love, flowing through a cell. And then you hear this man Yeshua saying, I come to bring you life. And then you watch people shudder in fear at the utterance of the word God. And you listen to the abuse and the trauma and the raging and the fear and the threats. And you say, all those threats and fear shut down life, stop the flow of love through the structure. And people sit in terror and trauma thinking they're being taught about love. It's just like, oh my God, how ridiculous. How ridiculous. So our objective here is to get the conversation back on track with the tools for experiencing yourself as you really are. And recognizing that a conversation that uses the word love, that has no love in it, that stands and rages and terrorizes people, isn't a conversation about love, even though it uses the word love. You can't follow someone who doesn't have the experience that they say they're trying to give you and get that experience. It's just not going to happen. So you hear the raging and the raving and you say, doesn't sound like love to me. Then let's get back on track. And our definition of love, we don't have words for it. We're never going to find it in words. I mean, people use that word all the time. You'll even hear parents will beat their kids up and say, I'm only doing this because I love you. Hello? A house divided against itself. In any event, what's our definition? How do you tell if somebody's talking about love? Well, there aren't enough words. There aren't big enough words in the language to represent what that experience is. But if you go back to a moment, or if you can find a newborn, go hold that newborn and tap into the essence of that newborn, and what you're going to find is a direct experience of love. You're not going to find a newborn loving you. You're going to find a newborn that is love. And then the lie of the culture takes over, and the love gets knocked out of people, and then they're going to tell you to go out and find somebody to love, as if love were a verb, as if it's something you can do. And we're here to do the exact opposite. We're here to provide the tools and the teachings for bringing one back to the direct taste of love. And oftentimes that taste begins when one frees themselves from hostility and fear. That is, forgives hostility and fear. And the major tool that we're working with in this teaching is the tool of forgiveness. The word love, the definition of the words have been changed, and we want to restore the original meaning of the word forgive and recognize it's got nothing to do with me letting you off the hook because something less than love is flowing in me. Forgiveness is the tool with which I remove that which is less than love if it is flowing in me. And when I remove it, I get back to taste what that presence of love is actually like. And so that's where we're heading with this work. And we're going to look at chapter 10 in the book, Why Is This Happening to Me Again? And if you don't have a copy of the book, I was informed yesterday somebody had looked on, I think it was eBay, and they found the book for $7 or $8, $9, something like that. And oftentimes it's there for a couple dollars. You can look on Amazon. It's out of print now, so unfortunately we don't have copies. But if you want a copy, you can do that, and you can go to our website and download the book free in several languages. And Jeannie, I think she just explained how she had just put the newest version of Why Is This Happening to Me Again, a reading of the book, on our website as an MP4. So you can go online and look at, up toward the top of the page on our homepage, whyagain.org. You'll see a note that says MP4 catalog. You'll find that all of our videos are now up there, and the audio version of the book being read to you is available for purchase there if you click that link. And so we've got a streaming service now where almost everything has been converted to digital format, so you can stream it from the website. So go to whyagain.org, upper right-hand corner. You'll see a link there for the MP4 catalog. So we're now on the chapter Ancient Wisdom, chapter 10 in the book, and for those who are following along, it's page 55. Most people, once they have clarity about the cause of pain in their lives, are excited and eager to go to work taking care of issues which need to be resolved. Richard was the exception. When I spoke again of true forgiveness being the solution, Richard went ballistic. Richard's voice deepened. Forgiveness? Come on. I've been listening to your explanation, and I've tried forgiveness. It changes nothing, he bellowed. Take another deep breath, Richard, I suggested. Remember I spoke of letting go of the dialogue in your head? I invite you to listen to my words, not your past realities about forgiveness and the negative associations you made. So notice that we live in a Greek-oriented world that tells us to pardon others if there's pain inside of us. Now, you think about that on its face, pardon others. So, it's kind of like you got a house that's dirty and filthy and rats and mice and cockroaches in it, and you go across the street and clean the neighbor's house. What good is that going to do you? I'm going to let you off the hook because pain is moving in me? But that's the general consensus on forgiveness in our culture. When I was writing the book, Why Is This Happening to Me Again, one of the things I did is I went to a major bookstore for a couple of days, and I just sat there and read everything I could read on forgiveness. And I don't care whether it was a rabbi or a minister or a counselor or a psychologist or a psychiatrist, anybody that was writing about forgiveness, if they, and most of them had some kind of dialogue that they were doing with someone, sooner or later the question would come up. Well, when that happened to you, when they did that to you, how did that make you feel? And when somebody asks that question, you know that they don't have a clue about cause of pain. When someone says, how did that make you feel, they're coming from a place where they believe their feelings originate outside of them. And that's the whole Western culture. You made me mad. You made me sad. You made me afraid. And it's just plain insanity. If I'm in pain, there's a reason I'm in pain. There's an energy moving in me that doesn't belong in me. Now that can make me feel, but you sure can't. Now, if there's an energy inside of me with which I cause myself pain, you may be able to resonate that energy for me. But to say you're causing me pain, to say you're making me feel a certain way, is just, in the context of truth, is just plain old-fashioned silliness. And yet, go sit down at Barnes & Noble or, any of the big bookstores in your city and start reading about forgiveness. Start reading what the people are writing it. There are books out there with the title, about forgiving them. In fact, we see the Greek misinterpretation. Forgive them, Father, for they know not what they do. Now, the word forgive, properly interpreted, properly translated, is remove. So if there is painful energy moving in me, I am not in pain because of what you did or what you said or what they said or what happened or somebody died or somebody was born or somebody divorced or somebody married or somebody. I'm not in pain because of any of that. I'm in pain because there's an energy in me that's moving that doesn't belong in me. And if I want to free myself of my pain, I need to remove that energy. Now, if you can trick people into thinking that the fact that that energy exists in you and is moving you is somebody else's fault, then you can convince them that they should let that other person off the hook in order to be free of their pain. And they'll be lying to you if they convince you of that. So we're not going to try to convince you to let anybody off the hook. You know, people sometimes do some dastardly things, no question about it. Never, ever, ever forgive them. Never forgive anyone who does something dastardly. And the reason I say that is because you can't. It's not possible. Forgiveness isn't about letting another off the hook. Strictly speaking, the act of letting somebody else off the hook is the act of pardoning. If you've done something untoward and I'm in pain as a result of the energy that moves in me resonated by your untoward behavior, then I choose to let you off the hook or pardon you. Then, if I have the wisdom to know what's going on, I'm going to reach inside myself and apply forgiveness to remove the root of my pain, and I might even thank you for your untoward behavior because it's shown me the part of me that's in need of healing. But for most of the world, they've bought into this baloney that forgiveness is about letting somebody else off the hook, so by and large, it's got a bad rap. So I go on to say to Richard, the way forgiveness is commonly taught is only a shadow of its true meaning and function. In this culture, we've generally accepted a substitute for true forgiveness. Due to our own ignorance, we bought into the common belief that forgiveness means letting them off the hook for the terrible things they have done to us. That is a Greek concept. It comes from a mindset that externalized everything and attributed cause to the outside world. This is not how true forgiveness was originally presented, and not even close to the original Aramaic concept. And if you haven't begun working with the forgiveness tool yet, we have decoded from the Aramaic over a period of many, many decades. And I'll tell you, I was brought up with the Greek brainwash. I need to forgive somebody else for what's happening inside of me. And I'll offer that it took me decades to comprehend that that idea has nothing to do with forgiveness. And that if I'm in pain, I need to recognize that the only reason I'm in pain is because there's an energy moving in me that does not belong in me and should not be moving in me. And to apply forgiveness is to reach into myself, collapse my false beliefs that somebody else is the cause of my pain, and literally remove the energetic pattern that doesn't belong there, to bring it forward in the presence of active love and delete the root of the pain. Now we're on track for what actual forgiveness is. And if you have not yet put that to work in your life, we invite you to. You can go to our website, whyagain.org. In the upper left-hand corner of the website, there's a link that says Start Here. Click there, and it'll open up a whole series of links on here's how actual forgiveness works. Here's how the removal of what maybe has been going on in your bloodline for generation after generation after generation. Here's how you can remove that. and free yourself of it. And you can stand in the same place as you were yesterday, perhaps in terrible pain, and have exactly the same thing happen and be pain-free because you've forgiven, because you've removed that in you which offends your tissue structure and therefore causes you pain. And you can go to the website, again, whyagain.org. Click that link, start reading, start putting the pen to the paper. You'll find worksheets there that you can do live on the website. You can print them so that you can do them in the comfort of your own home. You can go to your app store on your phone and type in the words Heartland, Heartland, that's one word, Heartland, Aramaic, Aramaic, forgiveness. And when you type that in, you'll be looking at the world's only forgiveness app. You can install it on your iPhone or on your iPad or your computer. You can install it on your Android phone. Open it up. And with almost no permissions, it's designed to be totally private, so you can feel confident writing anything in that worksheet that you want. You can tell it all your secrets, and you're the only one with access to it, because we don't have any permissions aside from the app needs permission to use your phone, to use the internet, pardon me. So start to put the pen to the paper, or in this case, put the digits to the screen on your phone, and engage in the forgiveness process and watch how life changes. It's the most amazing thing. And the depth at which ultimately you must develop the skill to access that which causes your pain is almost beyond comprehension. In light of our normative way of looking at the culture, there's just, for the average person, a monumental amount of work to be done. And so we're here to support you doing that work. And that's the purpose of our show. That's the purpose of 10 years of archives you could go back and listen to and work with the whole process of Aramaic forgiveness and of course, a whole series of corollary tools that we've developed to go along with that forgiveness process. So please avail yourself of it, share it with someone else, pass it along, and our objective is to have the understanding of these tools available to literally every mind, heart, and being on the planet. And so tap in, Heartland Aramaic Forgiveness on your cell phone, whyagain.org on your computer or your cell phone, and start putting the tools to work. And Ms. Jeannie, it's now about 20 minutes past. Do we have anybody in the phone queue with a hand up or anything happening in the chat room?
Well, I guess you could hear me if I'd unmute.
It would be easier. Sure, why not?
Yeah. No, it's quiet on both ends. No questions, no hands up. A lot of people. Oh, a hand just went up. Area code 541. You're on the air.
Yes, Celinda here.
Hey there, Miss Celinda. Welcome back. We had been anticipating our conversation with you yesterday, so I'm glad you're back to finish sharing that journey that you are talking about. 2,500 miles on a sailboat sounds pretty incredible.
Yes. And I apologize for not being able to get on yesterday. We had some business.
Oh, that's okay.
We are going to leave Hermiston and head back to Shangri-Doon, our hometown, halfway.
Oh, okay. Well, I hope that's a good thing.
Oh, it is a good thing. We had an offer that we couldn't pass up to go home, and Hermiston is a very heavy industrial agriculture area, and high winds as well, which Larry cannot handle, desert high winds. And so we said, he came up and he said, let's go home. And
sweet.
So we're going.
Well, congratulations. Enjoy the journey and be safe in travels.
Oh, yes. It's a couple 100 miles, and we'll be there. And hopefully we'll be there tomorrow evening. And everybody wants us back, so that must mean we're loved.
Oh, sweet. So will you be going to another camp to supervise it, or is that the plan?
No, we're getting a little tired of the camp hosting also, and also because we're 81 and 77 this next month. We know it's time for Spirit to lead us to a little more to our community, our place, our community, and water.
Nice. Well, hopefully a little less stress-oriented life then.
Yes, I think so. I got a garden spot offer that I couldn't pass up because I am definitely an inveterate gardener. I have to garden. I have to get my fingers in the dirt. And so that's wonderful. And Larry has job opportunities there, and so we're just going to go for it. We'll be in a little RV park there. So.
Right.
But
we'll travel
safely.
Of
water, Michael. Yes. If we want to continue with that wake-up sheet I did, I never got to the wake-up sheet just the other day, Monday, but I would like to have you go through that with me to help me in my process.
Sure.
One of the things that I might have mentioned is that all of a sudden I looked up the Hydra myth on the internet, and what I realized that my job to do or to be was I was to be love to my Hydra until I love it into surrendering. And when the surrendering happens and her immortal head, which is her last head that has to be removed, when her immortal head comes off, it will be because she has surrendered to rending that veil for me with my help. So rather than killing her off, I am going to love and be love, and then she'll just let go, and I can collapse that particular file folder.
Sweet.
So that's what I'm going to do.
Well, you've got my support on that one.
I'm going to be love. I'm tired of having enemies.
There you go.
Including myself. So here, what I did was I have been doing Magda's simple version. And that's the 9-point version, and that really is helpful for me. And she has been helping me so much. I just really love that woman. I feel at one with her. Let me put it that way.
Nice.
I, Celinda, who am love. And I put this in a present and past tense. Felt, because I'm honoring that it is a memory from the past as well as what I feel at the moment. I feel terrified and am sure that I will die at sea, and am triggered by my memory of our 32 days on sea. And I did a Freudian slip there, Michael. I wrote S-E-E instead of S-E-A, which absolutely floored me because it was directly related to my eyes. And that relationship goes all the way back to I was a small child. And we were in a 30-foot sailboat crossing from Hawaii to Oregon. We actually were headed for the San Juans, but the winds wouldn't let us go there 33 years ago. My thoughts creating this feeling is, oh, my God, how close we came to dying several times on that sail. That's my present thought today. And I have to share with you that when I was on the trip, and I mentioned the other day about the physiological effects of my fear, it came to a point where a little voice said to me, the old Bible, Old Testament story of Yeshua, when he wanted to take the Jews into the Promised Land and they were balking because of the giants. There's something around that story. He said, "Choose ye this day life or death. As for me and my house, we will choose life." And I had that message. So, are you going to choose life or are you going to choose death? And I had to decide right in the middle of this vast expanse of nothingness other than ocean. What I was going to do.
Talk about being in the desert, eh?
Yeah, kind of a wet one, yes.
A wet one. I can only imagine I get halfway between the U.S. mainland and Hawaii, and that's got to be the closest thing to a desert without the heat and dryness.
You're just out there all by yourself, and I'll share a little anecdote with you. One day I had just come out because we changed shifts very fast. When Larry goes down, right, I better be out at the helm. And
right.
I saw this little speck on the horizon. Now, you got to imagine that we have been on the ocean all by ourselves, seeing nothing but water. And I saw this little speck on the horizon. Now, we looked like a Chinese sampan or something. I mean, we had plastic tarps on the sides to keep us warm because we were so cold from the salt water and the
right.
waves that came in. We went through 4 storms. That was supposed to be a month where there were no major storms. And this little speck got larger and larger. And it's rather funny now. What we found out as it got closer was, I said, Larry, there is a boat coming. And it was a sailboat. It was a trans-Pacific race sailboat. Now, you can imagine this crew, they must have had a true crew of at least 12. They came on us so fast. I mean, we're a slug compared to them, going about 2 knots an hour. They're going about 12.
Right.
And the crew was all dressed in this fancy Jane Fonda lycra and all of this, you know.
Right.
And they called out. They said, they bugled over to us, "Do you know where you are?" Which, I think so. And because our radio equipment had gone out, brand new radio equipment had gone out, as I mentioned. And we said, yes, right. We think we do, because Larry knew the celestial navigation.
Right.
So we told them where we were, and they said, okay, bye. And they were gone over the horizon like that. And it was just like, oh, my God, there is life in this world. Like
ships passing in the night, quite literally, eh?
Right, during the daytime, fortunately. And the other thing was we got caught in the doldrums. Now, the doldrums don't usually come up that far north, and that is a scary feeling, to be caught for 4 days in the doldrums, because people died in the doldrums. I don't know if you're familiar.
Well, I can't say that on the ocean I understand what the doldrums are. I'm not familiar with that term as it applies to navigating the oceans. I can imagine
there's no wind. There is absolutely no wind. And if you're in a sailboat and that's your only mechanism, you could go around in circles, because we had some herbs that I opened the buckets on and they smell just like marijuana. And I said, we got to get rid of these, Larry. So we threw them overboard. Now, there's another reason that we found out later when we got to Oregon, is because our sailboat's name was Smugs. And Smugs was the name of our stuffed boat bear. But the police chief in Reedsport, Oregon, was sure we were smugglers of drugs.
Oh.
Because of the name of our sailboat. So anyway, we're in the doldrums. Yeah, and in the doldrums, 4 days later, we meet our herbs. We had sailed our heinies off for 4 days, and we met our herbs 4 days later.
Oh.
Yeah.
Wow.
So anyway, the 7 times was this tanker I mentioned to you, the tugboat I mentioned to you. We ran out of propane, so we couldn't cook our food. The mainsail ripped in half I mentioned. The new radio equipment quit. And the last storm we went through was that infamous Labor Day storm off the Oregon coast that never happens every Labor Day. And it was so bad that Larry just lashed the wheel because he took us off the rudder because I couldn't navigate a rudder. I don't do well with rowboats or anything with rudders or backing up or anything like that. So he just lashed the wheel down and went down below with me and let the sailboat do its thing. That's how frightening it was for me.
Mm.
To give a reference point, that 2,500 miles is about the equivalent distance from Portland to New York City.
Yeah, it's a pretty fair trek. So notice that you speak of this fear as though it's caused from being out there on the ocean, but if you tap in, and I can only imagine it's got to be a pretty visceral fear hanging out there, but if you think about it, before you ever got out in that ocean, prior to that, did you know that visceral kind of fear in your life?
Oh yes. It's definitely a relationship substitution. Definitely, it's a power person thing, very strongly, and that's why I mentioned to you when Doug said, if I don't acquiesce, I will be killed or I'll die. Yeah, that resonated very deeply with me. So I know what this is. Yeah, like we touched on it Monday. How I want it. Are we ready for that, or do you have more comments?
Go for it.
I want to support Larry and cross the ocean with him as his committed new wife, even though I'm terrified of water, of the ocean, and drowning. And I want that so I can succeed in this marriage and not fail or in this marriage and redeem my relationships in the past from my lack of courage, commitment, and confidence. In short, from fear and terror.
So I hear that, and that would be a surface worksheet. But the next layer down that would take you deeper into the hydra, it sounds to me like, from what you shared with your realization of the power person dynamic, is that the underlying, a more accurate goal to work with and might take you closer to healing this, is to be able to perform for your partner, i.e. your power person, the person you've substituted for your power person. And it sounds like that was the core goal with your power person. You had to perform. And, of course, in this case,
yes, I had to be
performing would mean
perfect.
sailing, handling all the responsibilities that would keep you all safe on the ocean.
And also you must realize that I knew nothing at all about sailing. Absolutely zero. And it was a sailboat that was too big for me to handle by myself. If anything had happened to Larry, I would have just perished. That was my perception.
Yeah. Yeah, I hear you. And it sounds like another similarity with the early dynamic with your power person of whatever it is they expected of you, wanted it from you, was probably totally unreasonable to want of a child, because what does a child know about what this adult is functioning out of extreme pain needs in order to be taken care of?
Yes, she had passed on to me what had been done to her. And that was that she needed me to be perfect so she could feel safe, because she had to be perfect. She had to be the perfect mother. Yeah. So I had to be her perfect little offspring.
Right. So I'd support you making notes on, the next worksheet that you do, or you might even shift to the goal being that of the need to be perfect to perform.
Yeah, I've got it written down, and I will do the next worksheet on that. Okay, shall we go on to number 5?
Sure.
After I crossed out all my number 4, I could hardly read it. I hope that. Okay.
Okay, so just recognize how important it is. Recognize how important it is before you go on to 5 to really stop and let yourself breathe and be in that connected space with love, calling on and bringing love forward into your physiology to the best of your ability. And you've heard me speaking recently about the importance of cultivating your relationship with love, with your true nature, with that force that the universe calls God.
I have been called to discipline myself to meditate morning and evening, of just simply sitting still and really feeling that breath and that life energy through all the cells in my body.
Nice.
That I realize that is the other wing to the worksheet, that I am being called to do that. And I have some wonderful Christian literature that are people's journeys with the divine, with the master, and how that resonated for them from a very mystical way. And so I'm using that in adjunct with your work. Number 5. Oh, I had one more Freudian slip also. When I said from fear and terror, when I started to write terror, I wrote tear, T-E-A-R. And I realized that was another aha for me. All of the sadness and pain and lostness and abandonment and fear, tears from my terror. So I thought I'd share that with you too. It's my fear, my soul has covered my rage. And it was actually my terror has been my addiction to avoid dealing with my rage. And that is very clear to me. For me, I'm only talking about me now. I pause, and that's connected to my powerlessness too, because I've connected terror and threat to powerlessness. What? And I've connected rage to a feeling that I'm powerful, so I can beat up the other person. And I chose terror because I was afraid I would die if I continued to rage. Yeah. Number 5. I pause. I'm breathing more these days. I pause.
Good. Nice.
Breathe and reconnect to the love that I am, and bring forth my awareness, my ruchas and my awareness of my true essence and being as I finish this wake-up sheet, because I'm very aware that if it weren't for ruchas' help, I couldn't possibly connect. I need that help, really.
I hear you.
Rahman and rucha. It's all one, Michael. 6, holding my love filters, Kura and Rahma, conscious, active, and present, I now willingly release, remove, and cancel how I want it. I add unbind, dismantle, dissolve, and undo. I put them all in, Michael, by
untie, let loose,
crossing out each word. Yeah, unloose, unbind, untie, undo, erase, anything. Get that stuff off the walls of my cellular front room. Okay. So I did that, and I am joining.
So I didn't hear exactly what it was you were unbinding or canceling.
Oh, well, when I crossed out, that's when I crossed out number 4 as per Magda's worksheet. I go back up, I reread it, and I cross every single word out. That's my metaphor.
So if you just share the verbiage of that now?
Pardon?
I cancel my need for?
I cancel my need for this number 4. I don't have any of that.
Oh.
Maybe you can walk me through the canceling of the need for.
Well, I'm just asking you what number 4 is. I'd like to hear you speak.
Oh, good. I cancel the need for Larry's support and to cross the ocean with him as his committed wife. Even though I'm terrified of the ocean and drowning, so I can succeed in this new marriage and redeem my relationships in the past from my lack of courage, commitment, and confidence. In short, from fear and terror.
Okay. So my feedback back on that is that I think you just put about 6 goals in there.
Okay.
And my offering would be that when you try to do 6 goals at once, you can leave the mind in a state of unnecessary confusion. So go ahead with that, like that big overriding goal, but I take each aspect of that. Like, for instance, I want to redeem my previous relationship. Well, that's a whole probably set of Hydra worksheets on its own. So I take each aspect of that. I want Larry to be here to support me. That would be one goal. I want to redeem this former marriage. That would be another goal. I want to heal my terror. Each of those is a different goal, and I would suggest that you take each of them and do a separate worksheet on them rather than I'm going to try to do all of this at once.
Okay. Yeah, we were brand new married. That was supposed to be a honeymoon, Michael.
That's quite a honeymoon. Like, thanks, Larry.
Yeah. No,
boy,
he
talk about opportunities to learn forgiveness. Bless his heart. Well, I'm glad you're still together and moving forward in your world and in your lives.
Yeah, we are. And, it's amazing because a sailboat across the ocean has broken or strengthened every single relationship that took it on. Either they walked off the sailboat and never talked to each other again, or they were really committed afterwards. Even if there was a long haul ahead of them, they were committed.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
Now, you got 3. Are there any more that you heard in there? The performance to be perfect.
I'm not looking at it visually. I'm just saying that there are several in there. So I'd go through it just with a fine-tooth comb and look at, okay, so here's one goal. This is a separate, there are several in there. And I just take each of them and break them out and do a separate worksheet.
I can see also. Yeah, I can see also this lack of courage, commitment, and confidence. So I have some blame to myself, I think, that could go in there.
Yes. So that would be back to the canceling the goal to perform, to be perfect, to be good enough.
Sure. Right. That's true. Okay. Very good. There will be search. And now I don't need to go back through the sale in order to do that. I just take those aspects and just see what comes up in the next worksheet with them. Is that right?
Well, you could do it either way. You could, if you're still hauling around some baggage from all those years ago, it could be useful to use the first part of the worksheet. The subject is the sailing, and that was the trigger for all of that. So I would do one in the context of that, and then come on and update it. Here I am today. We're getting ready to get in the motorhome and getting ready to travel. Is there any vestige of this left? I mean, you're kind of in the same situation, not as large, not as threatening, but still, here you are moving from one place to another, and if there are any last vestiges of that, then you could do the worksheet on current events. You get to your new town, if any of those things show up, then every little piece.
Well, it definitely applies.
Think back to that piece. Say again.
Ahead.
I was just going to say, think back to that piece that I shared a few weeks ago about when I discovered for me that I was locking my jaw, and I got this insight that it's going to take time and it's going to take work to clean out everything in my generations that has been locked in bone, and that what I was instructed to do was to pay attention to what my thoughts were when I did find myself clenching my jaw, and that would lead me into what needed to be cleared up. So, you brought forward a power person dynamic, a family dynamic, relationship dynamics that are pretty deep. And the willingness, of course, is a key. The bigger the willingness gets, the faster the energy moves. And the more specifically I drop into each aspect of that which I need to heal, each part of the thought complex that results in this depth of terror, as I dissolve it, as I free it, as I let it loose, quite literally from bone, I may find myself processing things that are generational as well. And as I look into that abyss, what's the willingness that I need? What's the support that I need to allow all of this to open that's being carried around in my carbon-based memory system?
Yeah.
And to be willing to breathe freely enough and deeply enough to let all of that loose.
Yes, and that was very powerful for me when you shared all of that. Very powerful, and I have taken that to heart. And I keep looking at that, where you talk about our whole structure being the antenna for us, and looking at that on all levels of myself. So shall we go on?
Let's go for it.
Finish. Okay. So number 7, I breathe and ask Ruha, Spirit, to show me holy breath. I like to call it the holy breath because it reminds me to breathe. She reminds me to breathe. And I love the fact that she is she. So I get a little balance between the yin and yang here of the mystery. I breathe and ask Ruha to show me what I need to know about this issue. And what came up was, we're getting closer to the one head of this hydra. It's the core issue of surrendering to love and life itself. which I had with whom I had overlaid my substitute. It was the relationship substitution. I overlaid my power person in my whole perception of the source, of the divine, of God, of whatever you want to call it.
Right.
And so I'm kind of excited now rather than terrified. And I know there are some real big challenges coming up for me personally and also collectively because of the state of the world right now. So polarized and everything. And so this is challenging. And I'm also finding at the same time that I'm not, at this moment in time, I'm not as terrorized as I was. I'm not as angry as I was about all of that, quote unquote, out there. So maybe there's hope. Hope springs eternal, Michael.
Yeah. Well, you're doing your work.
So my new goal for myself, yes, go ahead. I want to hear what you have to say.
I was going to say that remember that the idea here is conversion, and not conversion in the sense of, you're going to be brought into somebody's church, but it's really, we started out as love, and we had a mind that was based in love, and most of us were converted to hostility and fear-based minds. And so now it's time to allow for a conversion back to a love-based mind. And actually, it's perfect that you're doing this worksheet. Tonight in the intensive, we're going to be going through the new Power Person worksheet, which we sent out, or Jeannie sent out this morning. So make sure you've got that available. And this will be a perfect addition to what you're doing right now. Perfect next level.
And I will get that copied as soon as we get to halfway. I found out here that it would have cost me $20 to simply get a copy of that 9 pages or 18 pages or whatever it was.
Well, it's actually 10, but are you kidding? $20
no,
for 10
because
pages?
It was $1 for every page. Well, at least $1 for every page. And so maybe it would have been $10 or $12 because then I had to pay for the copies.
Yeah.
They wanted $1 for each scan because they had to scan the page, and then the copy cost the copy page itself. So I will be able to get that, and then I'll be able to do it. But I'll have it on the computer for tonight for you, for us. Yeah, cool. I'm excited to work with that, but I've put it on hold until I can. That's the thing. I don't have a printer. There's no room for a printer.
Right. Sure,
at the moment. Yeah. So, yes, I'm. This was my new goal for myself. Was that I would now love my Hydra into surrendering to love, because my Hydra is me. It's not out there.
And remember, notice that you're back to using the word love as a verb. That it's something you're going to do.
To be loved.
Love. Yeah, you want to be clear that your mind can support the goal you're wanting to achieve here, and that is to function as love, to hold to the presence of love.
Function. Yes. Function. I like that word, function. Yeah, as love. I usually put to be love, I usually put as a capital, as a heart. And so what happens is I forgot to put the B in front of it. It says, but I have it down here.
Cool.
And I said surrender to love and be love towards my Hydra. Yeah, I have to remind myself to change my languaging. And then my final goal was, my number 9 is I now feel serene and at peace in this present moment. And that I went from probably a 1 or a 2 to, I would say, about a 6 or a 7 on this.
Awesome. Sounds right on track, and we are down to the last minute or so.
Okay, so I'll close
So I
off
hope that's helpful.
And I couldn't have done it without you, Michael, you and Jeannie, and all of the family.
Well, honored and delighted to be here to support you in the process.
Yes. Blessings.
Okay, young lady. You have a blessed one. We'll see you in class tonight. And everybody, have the best year yet of your eternal life. It's an awesome gift to give the world.